Hello, everybody. Hi, this is Dionne Williams here. Hey, with D. Williams Public Relations Group and the Emerge Fashion Show. How are you guys doing? It's been a while. How is everybody staying safe? I'm trying to stay safe in the house. I want to thank you for joining me today for the Emerge Design Talk. Emerge Design Talk is an extension of the Emerge Fashion Show, and the Emerge Fashion Show happens during New York Fashion Week, where we showcase designers from all across the country and give them a platform. And this February 2021, we are celebrating our 10th year. Started it in February 2011. I'm super excited about the virtual event that will happen in February. So I need you guys to keep watching to see, when the show is. I'll be sending out some more information. I need you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And so this show started, interview series started when, we wanted to get some content out during the shutdown. And we have been interviewing fashion icons and legends through this whole season. And so I am super excited about my guest, J. Alexander Martin, who is one of the co-founders of FUBU. I'm super excited about this legendary brand, and I'm going to bring him on. Hold on one sec. Hey, Jay.
Hey. I was waiting in the studio.
All right, you waited backstage. She was waiting backstage. I'm super excited about Jay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me. I so appreciate it, especially in this time where, we can't see no real fashion. We got to wait to maybe next year or virtual. You do big things when it comes to the Emerge Fashion Show. So we're going to miss that.
Thank you so much. So I want to start off. I see you in Clubhouse, and you always give us some great information. I was like, I need to interview Jay.
Yeah, I'm the valedictorian of Clubhouse now, I hear.
It's the valedictorian. So I want to start off because I researched you, and my audience consists of like creators and designers and just people who love fashion. So I love taking it back, like FUBU in the day. That's my day in the 90s. I want to know, where did you grow up? Where did you grow up? I just want to know where you grew up.
So I grew up in Queens, New York. It was between what they call Farmers and Hollis. So I was like on the cusp of both of them. So it's really weird. By me growing up, I would sometimes claim I'm from Hollis, and sometimes I would claim I'm from Farmers, because depending upon which store I'd go to is who I'd have to claim. Yeah.
Good. So how was it growing up in Queens? Or how was it growing up in New York at that part? How was it growing up during that time?
Well, that time was, it was heavy drugs, and not necessarily drugs that we were taking, but drugs that we seen. The drug dealer was the epitome of what you can do, what you see. I mean, unless you look at your father, or your mother and father, and they did something with their lives. Fortunately, mine was doing something very, very well. So it kind of led me in a better direction. But so all you saw was, drug dealers, and they were looking like they had it. They would have the fancy cars, jewelry, clothing, and all that, everything that you kind of aspire to be or aspire to want. The girls and everything, and you just, looked at that every day, and you felt like, wow, I want that. But again, that took another direction to get it. But, I'm not mad at it, because a lot of those guys that were there are either not there anymore, or still in jail, or still on the corner and trying to figure out why didn't they go the route that I went. So,
yeah. So how did you, were you interested in fashion when you were growing up? How did you get into
No, not necessarily. Yes and no. Yes and no. Part of me was, and part of me wasn't. I was raised with one brother and two sisters. My brother was adopted. I was adopted. And my sisters, it was two of my sisters. So, there's a lot of femininity around there, because my brother, he used to dance on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So he was in shows like Pippin, Chorus Line, things like that. So, it's funny, I go to the dentist sometimes, and I'm sitting there reciting some of these Broadway plays, and they're like, "Well, how do you know all that?" Don't worry about it. I just know it. Don't look at a book at its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
So, so my two sisters, they would have the fashion plates, and then I would, okay, well, I ain't got nothing else to buy. I could play with my toys, but then, I want somebody to kind of play with. So I wound up playing with those and looking at that. And it kind of gave me somewhat of an insight of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't really sure. Then as you go to school and you start growing, you start finding out that, clothes make the man or clothes make the boy.
Yeah.
And you start figuring like, hey, well, maybe I want, maybe this is what I want to do. Then as you mature, I went to the military. Is either, look, you're either going to go to college or you're going to get out of my house. And I wasn't very good at school. So my father felt like, look, you're going to go to the military and that's the option. That's it. So me going in there, I was like, finally, no, Dad, I know what I want to do. I want to go in fashion. I want to go in fashion. Yeah. Great. That's right. Go in the military. Right. So I actually asked the person that interviewed me. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I want to be in fashion. And they were like, well, yeah, you can go. You can kind of go. You can go to school for it, but there's nothing in there for fashion for you. The recruiters, they just had to get to get a notch in their belt that they got you to come in. So they got a quota to make. But he talked me into it. I went, and that's what really opened me up to fashion, because when you're young, coming from where I come from, you think the world is your block.
Yeah.
Your world is your neighborhood. And when I was exposed to, overseas and different countries and how people dressed and how people did, it kind of gave me this like epiphany, like, oh, this is what I need to do. And then my whole thinking was me being a buyer, because now I know what everybody wants to buy, because I'm all over the place. And I had did all this, research without even doing research, because I'm exposed to, people from all over different states. I'm talking to older people, younger people. I'm talking to, people, and, and I'm understanding why they're wearing it. Not necessarily just what they're wearing and why they're wearing it. I could be next to, a guy that wears cowboy boots. I could be next to somebody with a jerry curl. I could be next to somebody with Timberlands, which was me, or I could be next to somebody in a suit every time. And it would just kind of, with all of that knowledge and all of that experience kind of came together. When I came back home from the military, got out on medical discharge. That gave me the confidence to say, hey, look, I know I can make it.
Good. So how did you meet all the founding members of FUBU, David, Keith, Carl? How did that come about? Was it you and Damon were together, then the other ones? How did that come about?
Well, it was kind of like this. So Carl met Damon first, because Carl lived like pretty much a block away from Damon. So they were childhood friends before me. I met Damon in like fifth, sixth grade. That's junior high school, right? Yeah. Junior high school, right? So I met Damon in junior high school. We became friends. And when we went to high school, that's when we met Keith, because we were in a group. We were in this class called co-op. Co-op, you'd work a week and then you would go to school a week, which was like the best day ever. And we could, we would just kind of hook up from there. Like I said, Carl had met Damon first. So then Carl, and not to jump the gun, but Carl is the one, when Damon went out to sell the first hats, Carl was around.
Okay.
I came home from the military and I said, well, Damon, I see you have a hat, and Damon's the type of guy, look, man, I just want to sell anything. I just want to make some money. He don't really care. Mm-hmm. And I came in and said, listen, I wanted to be in fashion. I was going to FIT and I was working at Macy's at the same time. And I was like, look, I could turn this into a clothing line. And I got $7,000 from my accident when I was in the military, which I got put out for on a medical discharge. And actually, I'm happen to be 50%. I'm 50% disabled. A lot of people don't know that. Oh, wow. And I wound up taking that money and giving it to Damon and saying, hey, let me turn this into a clothing line. And that's the story.
Oh my goodness! So that's how you came along when they had some hats out, and you were like more the creative person.
Right.
The different roles of everyone.
Right. So the different roles, like, it's kind of funny. It changes whenever it changes. What's funny? If I look back, we all kind of had the same role.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's almost like, and not to bring it to like baseball, but like whoever stepped up to bat either had to get us on base or hit a home run.
Yeah.
I happen to hit more home runs because my job is to create the fashion. My job is to figure out how we're going to move forward. Damon's job is to keep the stability as far as, the business is concerned, because sometimes as a creative person, you might go out of your realm by just doing what you think is right. because you think, you're being creative, but then again, it may not make dollars and cents.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that, quietly. Keith came along a little later in his life because Keith was actually working. He had a job. He was in, I believe, real estate, and he came along kind of after he had lost. He had kind of got out of his job. I don't know if he lost it or whatever happened. Some ordeal happened, and then he was like, "Well, look, I work with you guys. I've been hanging out with you guys anyway. I might as well start working with you guys." And Carl was kind of in and out because Carl, was doing other things here and there, but initially he was there from the day one. I actually wasn't there when they created the name. I came along after the fact. I just took what they had and turned it into something.
Good. So I was going to get into that, like the name, like the name is really relevant even today. You guys have been doing this, been on that for years.
28 years and counting.
Yes, you've been on this for years. So can you explain to maybe the younger generation what does FUBU mean?
So FUBU means for us, by us, and it was because, and it's funny on Clubhouse, and not this is the whole thing about Clubhouse, but I was on Clubhouse, and someone mentioned to me, and they said, guys, you were the first Black Lives Matter when you really think about it.
Yeah,
like, yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah,
you got a point there.
Yeah.
So basically, it was about the fact that the people. A lot of designers, and I hate to start mentioning names because that's just not what I'm trying to do right now in my life. But those particular designers, there's a couple of designers, they know who they are. They didn't really like the fact that African Americans or multicultural people per se was wearing their clothes. And they would kind of just tell us straight up, we don't want you wearing our clothes. So my thing is, if you don't want me wearing it, then I might as well make it on my own. Yeah. And that's what we did. And we saw people before us, like the Carcanized and the Cross Colors, and there's a couple of other brands out there. But we just took that formula and turned it into 28 years in business.
And what does the name stand for?
So the name is just for us buyers. When I say for us buyers, it's for, like, there's a culture, hip hop, music, the lifestyle, all of that encompasses. Is we took that and we encompass that into clothing. Excuse me. Sorry.
No problem.
We encompass that. Hold on, get some water.
Okay, no problem. Get some water. We can't have Jay Alexander here coughing on our show and choking on the show. But we need everybody to go on there and subscribe to the channel. Please, on our YouTube channel. Just
commercial break.
Yes, we need a little break because I need people to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
All right, cool.
So yeah, so the FUBU
for the culture.
Yeah.
And people didn't have anything that took on their sensibilities. Like, for instance, we make a jean, and the jean would have a pocket inside where you can put your hidden goods. The seams, a little bigger, a little fuller in certain places in which, we need, because we're a different being,
right.
So we put all that into it. And I would have the ability to kind of go different places and go in, because now I've traveled, I'm a seasoned traveler. I'm always traveling, always looking, always being, I call it nosy.
Yeah.
To see what other people like and other people want. So I took all of that and accomplished it, put it all to one, especially with, like I said, my travels of overseas and all the people I've met and all the different people from different states I met. And I took all of that and made it almost like intrinsic value and put it all into clothing. So that's the thought behind for us, by us. It's for us, by us. And there's no other way I can explain it. And then not necessarily when I say us as Black, because yes, it is really primarily us, and I can't deny that. But there's a lot of other people outside of Black that are the culture just as well, and that are of the culture just as well. Like Hispanics, they, when it comes to b-boy and that whole hip hop, they are our hip hop just as well. So I can't just say it's urban or Black. Period. It's all of us and who love hip hop and who love the culture.
I love that. So when what was the design concept when you guys started when you came on board as like the creative director? how did you all start designing? How did you design the collections when you first started out? How did you design, start, design?
Okay, so my design, and I was basically the creative director. And again, it's funny, I don't even draw. It's not until the computers came out and I can get on the CAD, I can do CADs within in Adobe Illustrator when I can actually physically, get my own ideas out there.
Yeah.
So I brought in people from FIT. I went to FIT, and I brought in people from FIT to kind of get my thoughts and my ideas out. I was always a non-traditional thinker. When it comes to design, I would always zig when people zag. I always think of, excuse me, other things or other ways or what we needed. If we already had a jacket, how could I take this jacket and make it better? Or what can I do? What can I think of that people really need that needs to go in there? And because again, as for us buyers, we know what we want.
Yeah.
So that was pretty easy. And that was just basic design process. I don't know if there's a magical formula to be able to know what other people want. Besides, again, going back to my quote of being nosy.
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy. I go to a club and it's funny. This is a true story. One of the guys that is a really, really big time DJ, like in New York, or not even just New York, actually in the US.
Yeah.
He's actually on a reality show at this point, and he's really, really big. He gave me the name sneakyman.com. So when he says that, that means I'm in the building per se. The reason why I'm in the building is I could be in a suit, I could be whatever I'm wearing, but I'm in a corner and just being nosy, looking at what people trying to soak up the vibe of what's going on. And that's how when you design, you have to always know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
You have to, fashion can trickle up, trickle down, and I always will be somewhere where it's like, what are you doing here? Or not even what are you doing here? Wow, I knew you would be here. So you always in the real places. I don't care if it's a bar mitzvah. I don't care if it's a inauguration. I don't care if it's the hood spot where somebody got killed yesterday. I'm standing there and I'm looking and I'm soaking up, trying to find out what's the next thing, or interpret what's the next thing.
So how did you guys get started? How did you all start jumping up once you guys got together and you wanted to expand like more than hats and you guys started getting to design? How did you get the business going?
Well, the business got going for us. And the reason why I say that is because, in hindsight, what we did was we pre-marketed. How the really business jumped off was that, through music, through rappers, through music, really. And I owe that all to them. And we took a lot of our ideas and ideals from the music industry. I practiced, for marketing and all that through the industry. And of course, the ultimate LL, Cool J, we can't even forget about him at all. Like, he's paramount when it comes to, why we even took off. But we would we would just do other things, do practices that they would do, because we all kind of came up with the same way, and we would just mirror each other and do the same things. And that's how kind of we kicked it off. And that's when it comes to marketing. But when it comes to just business, we hooked up with a company called Samsung, right? Because again, we would be in videos, we'd have LL putting in, especially that Gap commercial that really catapulted us into, wow, we're a real brand. And we would, like I said, we'd marry ourselves with a lot of our artists, and that kind of turned us into what we are. We would pre-market by putting it on a video, almost like those are all commercials.
Yeah.
And then everybody would want it, but we wasn't able to get it to them.
Yeah.
Went to a magic show, got all these orders because people were like, wow, I see that on this video, I see that on LL. How can we get it? We get it home, 100,000 in orders, and it's like, now what? Now we got a business, we got orders, but we can't fund them. So we went out and looked for like people to help fund us, went to factors and caught the sleazy people here and there. And one of the guys from Samsung kind of gave us a call and was like, hey, why don't we have a conversation? So we had a conversation with them, and it didn't really work out the first time, but the second time around, we went off and just kept going. And more things happened, bigger things happened as far as marketing concerned. And they came back and gave us the offers we couldn't refuse. Now, the offer that couldn't refuse is the fact that we would own our own company, and we would keep our our company, and it wouldn't be like okay, we're going to give you all this money, and you know what, now you work for us. We didn't want to do that because it's for us buyers. So what we did was we did a marketing. I mean, we did a not marketing. I'm sorry. We did a, um, a deal in which they would distribute us. So now they be able to distribute us all over the world because they have a textile division. So
Okay.
they were, and one of the guys that worked there, they were also doing some other jackets. They were doing coats and stuff. So they understood the business, but they understood the business through sales. We would never be able to get out there. We would get everybody clamor for it, but we couldn't get it out there. And with that marriage, we got it out there.
Wow. So that's how you able, like, when I'm going to talk about the LL piece, but when you did the magic show and you had all these orders, and then once you started, you start getting to learning distribution.
Right, right. And
This,
again, I'm a young guy. I'm going to FIT. I'm learning on the fly.
yeah,
I can go to my teacher and ask them a question here and there. But like, they honestly, a lot of these teachers, they in the business, but they're not of the business.
right.
And I was doing something that no one was doing. So I was on my own lane. So I was on my own. I couldn't go back. I can go to the library, but again, you can go to the library, but the book hasn't been written because I'm writing the book as we go along.
That's right.
It was hard. And that's one of the things when I talk about, a lot of people talk about, I need a mentor, you need a mentor. I didn't have a mentor.
Yeah.
I made it up as I went along.
Oh my gosh. So tell us about the infamous LL Cool J. Some people may not know, especially younger generation. LL Cool J was taping a Gap commercial. This is the infamous story of FUBU, and it's kind of somehow snuck in one of your.
Well, so this is the deal.
What's the deal?
LL was okay, and this I'm gonna give you some insight because not a lot of people know the story. I used to be a rapper.
Oh,
yeah. So LL. So I gotta say this right because it's like a tongue twister. LL was in a group.
Okay.
LL's best friend was in the group with him. His name was Cal.
Okay.
Right. So Cal's brother was my best friend. Little brother was my best friend.
Okay.
So I would always be in LL's face because I was like the little guy there and I was trying to rap. And actually LL came one day and said, I'm gonna teach you how, make sure I teach you how to rap, give you some exercise and stuff like that. So he helped me out a couple of times here and there. Right. So that's how I met LL and that's how we were cool. Damon used to go on tour. Damon and Carl and Keith used to go on tour and almost like a roadie and go to like, whenever he'd be in tour, like it was in Virginia or something like that, close, they drive and kind of hang out, and backstage or whatever, just kind of be around, So we both had different relationships with them. So in turn, when we would, we started to, do the clothing line, we saw him, was like, hey, we got a line, can you help us out? And he was like, okay, I'll help you out. No problem. And I owe this to him, to today, like regardless, like because our fame and fortune and all that, we owe it to him because he didn't have to do that, So one day his manager, came to us and said, hey, listen, LL has got called to do a Gap ad. So we were like, man, all right, well, go ahead, do your thing. Shoot, go ahead. And he was like, no, it's cool. But he's tied to you guys because, his word is his bond. Like his word is his bond. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So he said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write in the contract, make sure that we can wear this hat. Right. And so we just thought, okay, fine. They're not going to think of it. Because he said, this is my line. He went back to him and said, look, I'm not doing this unless I can put my hat on. It's my hat. Right.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. So they said, they don't know the culture. They don't know what's going on. So
nobody in
that's the thing. Now, they're a little more. Well, actually, it's still not as smarter because there's a lot of things that go on now. They still haven't learned their lesson. Not Gap, but just a lot of people haven't learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Long story short is, he went in. We didn't know what he was going to say, so that was a surprise to us that he went in and said, for us, bias on the low. So that was just like, a thank you to us and saying, look, I'm riding with you, So he rode with us like that, and we owe everything to him when it comes to that, because that was like our commercial,
right?
For millions and millions of people seeing that commercial, they spend millions and millions of dollars on that commercial, and it was almost like a FUBU commercial.
So for people who don't know, he was taping a Gap ad, and he wore a FUBU hat.
Yes.
And Gap didn't know.
Well, they knew, but they didn't care. They just, they just was like, okay, we want LL. LL was like at the time the biggest star. LL was like, the biggest star. From acting to he had In the House, and he was like rapping career, like it was ridiculous. And to have the biggest celebrity there is, and then still wearing our stuff and after giving us, a shout out in a Gap ad, just made us like skyrocket. After
So
that.
from there, did it actually just skyrocket from there?
Oh yeah, it was already skyrocketing.
Yeah.
See, it's really weird because we would go in spurts. Like, each time of our career, we would go in spurts. We would do one thing and it would just jump. Wow. And then we would just do something else. It would just jump and make like leaps. And it's like we went like most people go step by step by step. We were doing jumps. But the thing about the jumps is it was getting the because of our business sense, our business skills, and the people that we were dealing with, like the concrete was being filled as we were, or the foundation was being filled as we were jumping.
Yeah.
Most times you jump, there's nothing in between, so you're gonna fail. But in our case, we always filled in the blanks as we went along, and I think that's why it's the key to our longevity.
So tell me about other artists that had, I know Busta Rhymes, ODB, like what other
it goes on and on. I can sit there and tell names, but what does it really matter? It's every name, period. Every name, no one excluded, from Puffy to everybody. Everybody. No one was safe.
Everybody.
Period. And no disrespect to other designers, because sometimes we'll be on panels and they'll mention people, and it's like, okay, all right. And I don't want to answer the question, because if you get to me and I'm like, who did? Everybody.
Yeah.
Who didn't? Nobody.
Yeah.
Like I got pictures with every single person in it.
How was it in the height of, how was it for you? How was your lifestyle? How was the business and the height of FUBU? How was that experience? Like, how was that surreal for you guys? Or I know it was a lot of work, but
it was like the Beatles.
Yeah.
We like the Beatles. I remember one year going to Essence, and literally we had security, and we couldn't, like the mall, there's a mall there. It's like kind of like underground sort of. I think it's the only mall, I don't know, it's underground right down off of, I can't remember the name of the street, but whatever. And we walked in, and literally inch by inch, it must have took us 3 hours, 4 hours to walk. And that mall is not that big. Just to walk through that mall, and everybody would just like, again, we're in museums. We're in the African American Museum of Natural History in DC. We're in the Great Wax Blacks Museum in Baltimore. We have a wax figure ourselves, and we're in another museum in Europe. I can't pronounce the name, so don't let me try. We're in history books. We're in accounting books. We're part of school curriculum. I don't know how many people have done this thesis on us.
Yes.
So we've done a lot. We're the only fashion brand that had an Essence Awards. An Essence Award. Like, they don't even have those anymore. They don't even do that anymore. I don't know why they stopped, but whatever. So we need a lot of accomplishments.
A lot of accomplishments, even, for growing up and college, and, so many of all of us, actually, we all had FUBU. That was a part of our life. So you should feel like very accomplished with that.
Yeah. I always say sometimes, it's hard sometimes, because again, to be so good at what you do, sometimes that's not good. Sometimes that's a detriment. But, it comes a time when the next group, they don't really feel it like you feel it, because they look at it like, look, I don't want to deal with that old stuff. I want to do my own thing. But, they try to come back. But some people, get, how it is. Everybody's a critic nowadays. And all I say to them is, look, you fell off. Well, you never been on. So now what are we talking about?
So what were some of your biggest mistakes? You had the high, so you have mistakes, because you guys were going you were learning as you were going along. So I'm sure there was a lot of mistakes in business? I hope.
No, I don't look at it like mistakes because again, we had what we did had to happen for us to progress. So necessarily never to me it never was a mistake. It was always, you know, a, a lesson.
Yeah.
So people ask that question all the time, what mistakes did you do? You know, and I can't I can't think of anything because everything we did really worked.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't seem like it didn't work, it worked.
Yeah.
You know, we made the right moves, we made the right moves, pretty much all the time. And I say that because when I say we made the right moves, there was no blueprint. So how am I doing something wrong? I'm the first one to do it
Yeah.
at that magnitude. So once you get past of the concept of starting and you're following someone else that you started per se, because again, all praise due to Carl Kanai and like he's the godfather. Like I would not be here without him.
Yes.
And after that, I got the blue. But next, I gotta go, and I'm gonna take it my route. He did his thing. Everybody else, people now doing their thing. That's great, but I'm going my route. So you can't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I did something wrong. I did it right. Still here.
Yeah. That's true. So when the 2000s start coming along, and now how did you guys start? What do you think about now today? What do you think about today's fashion industry with social media influencers? Like, what do you think about the fashion industry today?
Oh, I talk about that so much. Um, you know, I think a lot of these newer designers, they get stuck in that whole mantra of no new friends, and they don't want to network, and they don't want to, they feel like they can start today and think that you have a brand. And I tell the people, listen, you don't have a brand, you have a business. You just started a business. You don't have a brand, and that's disrespectful. Carl Kanai has a brand. I have a brand. I have 3 partners. We have a brand. Carl, Brown, Keith Perrin, Damon John. We have a brand. All our stuff is licensed out, right now. So that's a brand. You have a business, a small business at that.
Yeah.
So I have to stress that first. And then second, I would believe that they don't want to, these brands, like I said, they don't want to look behind. Like you don't want to look behind to find out what we did and then take what we did and move it forward.
Yeah.
And that's just a detriment to the business because you can't be in a business without understanding the history of it. You can't do something without respecting the history of it. And I'm not trying to, as they say, get my flowers and try to get people to, oh, it was me, look at me, I'm still here. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying you have to respect before you so you can move ahead. Because if not, listen, I did what you did, whoever designer, with no computers.
Yeah.
I made catalogs with markers.
Yeah.
I'm probably messed up in the head from all the fumes. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So stop it. And I'm still in the business when we're now. Yeah. So I know all of what I know. I know how to do it with nothing, and I know how to do it with your tools.
That's right.
And you still can't do it with your tools. And I'm doing it better with your tools than you. So but I'm not here to criticize. I'm just here to help. So I wish if anybody listened to that, they might listen to that. They just feel like you just have to kind of look back and build a foundation. And it's all about building a foundation. You can't build a foundation without knowing what happened before.
I think that I say that all the time. You have to know what happened before you move on, right? So right. When people listen to the Emerge Design Talks, when I'm talking to designers like yourself, they always want to know, give some advice. I know you went through it a little bit. Like when they start the business nowadays, is retail still viable, or should you do direct to consumer? Like, what's some of your advice for them to, outside of their brand. Stop thinking about your brand and let's get down to the business of.
Well, first things first is please stop showing me your daggone Instagram. Jesus Christ. If I see another Instagram, oh, well, check out my business. Here's my IG. Why? What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? I don't want to see. That's no bearing on what we're talking about. And you know, they're coming up. You know, they're taking words that are like facts are facts and opinions opinion. You know, you can take a word, right? But the real meaning of the word, you can twist around when it comes to street and just talking stuff. But you can't take a business, change the word, and then act like it's something else. So again, they don't even understand just straight business facts. You know, they don't understand just straight business. It's called the fashion business, not the fashion.
Yeah.
You know, so it just irks me when I hear or when I even just listen to people. And I try to get them right on the same track, but it's hard. But I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep fighting. And I didn't answer your question, so ask it again because I kind of went up with tangent because I'm thinking about like the time I'm talking to these younger businesses, and
I love your tangent.
They don't get it.
I love your tangent. So I wanted to know, like people always asking me, they always want to know what they should do. Should they still do retail? Direct consumer? Like
that's why I brought up that fact because you can say people always ask that, but the first thing they do is show me their IG. Like I'll ask that same question and I'll go, well, look, what about my IG? My IG, and I'm like, that's not business. That's marketing. That's part of marketing. And then I start breaking down like LinkedIn, what LinkedIn is, what's Facebook, and what's Twitter, and the difference between all of them and how that relates to business. And they look at me like I got four heads because they just love IG.
Yeah.
Well, e-commerce to me right now is a thing, of course, because of our time and era of time right now. Post COVID, hopefully, we can. I feel that we're going to get back to face-to-face when this is all over, and stores are going to really be, and malls are going to really be a petri dish for people to run around and to see each other, and to like it's going to almost be like imagine I wasn't there at that time, of course, neither probably you, but of course neither were you at all. But when after the wars. And everybody came home and everybody wanted to just go do stuff and go out, and because they the father was home and their mother was home, and it was just a renaissance of just people wanting to be out and enjoy each other, company, restaurants flourishing, and stores flourishing. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. And this is going to be good for the retail business. But a lot of people, these group of people don't see retail. They only see retail in one scope, IG. And maybe e-commerce.
Yeah.
Other than that, stores are dead. That's like you saying. That's like a lot of people in the business say TV's dead. Well, you still got a TV, and you still turn on the channel 7, aren't you?
Right.
So tell me when it's dead again. So we take what is said, and we multiply it, and we put it back in our head, and we spit out everything we hear, but we don't understand how we got to that answer. Or why we got to that answer. We just listen to what people say. Yes, retail is somewhat dead. Right, but it's not dead. It's just going through like any business, highs and lows. Bell curve. It goes up, goes down.
Yeah.
Basic business. But the problem is we never listen. We want to drop out of school and go to YouTube school and get an answer. Now we got the answer to the test, but we don't know how we got to that answer, and that's how we all fail.
Yeah. So
that's my opinion.
That's good opinion. Great, good. So a lot of people wanted to know: are you and Damon and the founding members? Are you guys still talking? Are you still friends? Like, what's going on with you all?
Yeah. We're still friends. We still work together. Damon not so much because Damon works. He does his own thing when it comes to Shark Tank. He's pretty busy. We all congratulate him for the moves he made in that. He's been on the show for like almost 10 years. Like I said again, we always congratulate that. I'm proud of him for that. We pretty much run the business. I still run the fashion business. I have a lot of other things I do on the side. Myriad of things I do on the side. Keith and Carl, of course, they do the same thing. Carl does. Carl actually started the hotel division, in which as soon as it's over, we should have 3 hotels: 2 in New York, 1 in Miami. Keith runs the radio division. He started that a little while ago, and that's actually working pretty good for him. And I started the television division. I've been actually doing this for a long time. I have a video on demand station on Comcast, and I had it on Verizon. I'm actually renegotiating my deal. That's why Verizon is off. I have a deal with. Actually, I shouldn't even say it yet because we haven't really done it yet. It's signed, but we haven't launched it yet. So we did a deal with Discovery for content under the Forest Bias label or imprint, I should say. So I've been doing that plus a bunch of myriad other things. I'm also again, I told you earlier that I'm a veteran, so I'm service connected, and I'm able to sell to the government. I have a cage code. If anybody knows what that is, I'm Sam. So I sell to the government PPE products and other things like uniforms, things like that nature.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
that's my side little gig.
Nice. So for people, so people can still go to FUBU, FUBU.com. Like, where can people get
Oh yeah, so FUBU.com. Actually,
all the FUBU?
we just relaunched FUBU.com. Actually, about 2.5 days ago.
Oh, wow.
So we have a whole new capsule collection. Actually, half a capsule. The rest of the capsule will be out in February, between January and February, end of January, February. And we hope people love it. And if you don't like it, give me a call, give me a text, whatever, and let me know what you don't like so I can fix it.
Can we get the classics, like the throwbacks?
Well, the classics, yes, we're going to relaunch the classics because what we were doing before we even jumped back into the market, we were testing and testing. We did a couple of collaborations. We did one with Puma. We did one at a store called Sorella for ladies, and it went very, very well. And we were just kind of pacing ourselves before we actually just jump out there because, again, the marketplace is fickle. People not necessarily wanted to jump out there and buy us again. We had to kind of build the trust again because all our stuff was overseas. We actually still do very, very well overseas. But as far as here, not so much because a lot of other brands, a lot of people just said, look, I don't want to wear that anymore. I wore it when I was little or my mother wore it. And then we just had to sit back and wait and wait until our time came back around. And now it's here. We're ready to launch and we're here. Now, we would have done it in a big way, with all the stores, but we can't do that yet until it opens up.
And then you had a successful book, like a great. What's your book?
I actually have 2 books.
I need the books. What's the book?
So one book, the latest book I wrote during COVID, and I just launched that about a couple of months ago, about 3 months ago. And my other book was a book called, I'll just go through them. Money Makes Me Crazy. And with Money Makes Me Crazy, I made a lot of money. I can't lie. This business has been very, very good to me. Yeah. And I spent it a lot. And I spent too much money. And as I'm growing up, you start doing things of excess because you didn't have it when you were younger.
Yeah.
When you go overboard. And I went overboard with a lot of different things. And when it came to marketing, I just coughed it up as marketing, and that's what I did. And it helped the brand, to be honest. And if I didn't do it, I don't think the brand would be as successful as it was. But and again, I didn't do it the right way. I just did it, frivolously. And I was kind of giving people an understanding of once you know who you are, then you can deal with that particular problem. Once you say, like, you go, I am Alexander Martin and I'm an addict. You know what I mean? I am Alexander Martin and I'm a spender. Now you know what to do. So so the book is about the relationship with money and how you should use it, and what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and gives you tools and tactics. It gives you real life stories of what I did and why it didn't make sense.
Okay.
And my second book is pretty much theory. A lot of business books. It's called How to Build an Empire. And a lot of business books kind of give you, the same old rigmarole of, hey, you start an LLC and you have to do this and you have to do that. But they don't tell you the concept of how to think.
Yeah.
You have to be You have to be able to think a certain way when you become an entrepreneur. And this book is like that. Only book I could think of that it kind of parallels to is like Think and Grow Rich. Oh, yeah. Other than that, there's no other book like it.
Yeah. Do you have the copy of the book in front of you?
Oh, yeah. I've got both of them.
Let me see. Oh, Money Makes Me Crazy. That's the one I have to get. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And this is
Yeah,
my
yeah.
neighbor's
Oh,
one.
yeah. That's the. Yeah.
Wait. There you go.
Yes, but if those are all great books, people need to pick up those books.
Yeah.
Where can we find those?
Oh, Amazon. Oh, you can go to my website, J. Alexander Martin, the letter J, alexandermartin.com, and you can click it. And most book. It's funny because like once you make your first book and you're like, yay, you're happy. Now I have my second book, and it's like you buy one and it suggests you buy the other one. So it's funny. But I'm going to start my third because I call this is like my third book would probably be about all the marketing. Because I think that's needed now too.
I'll have the links in this YouTube. I love this. What's this outfit you got? What's this suit?
Oh, this is FUBU.
Shop.
We I think we've had the most licensees of an urban brand, and quote unquote urban brand. I guess we're urban because we're black, but I mean it's a brand.
That's a FUBU suit.
FUBU suit, yes, it is.
Very nice.
Labels in somewhere. Oh, it's up here, down here.
I see it. Got it. Very nice. Who are favorite? Before we end, like who's some of your favorite designers?
I'm a label whore. I wear everything. I mix and match my stuff. Whatever. I don't discriminate. I only discriminate when they discriminate towards us. Yeah. So I used to always wear Gucci until that ordeal happened. Now I don't. Not so much. I'm not wearing Gucci and it's. I have some classic pieces, some classic stuff. I just don't even wear it anymore. I'm not going to throw it away per se, because I'm just not going to throw it away. Because I like my closet. I like stuff in my closet. I guess I'm a pack rat when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But things like that I won't wear anymore because of that situation. But again, no disrespect. I mean, that's just me. I'm not telling anybody not to buy it. They can buy it if they want. It's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not against anyone. I wouldn't want anybody saying I'm not buying your brand because it's black, or I wouldn't buy your brand because of something that maybe one of my partners say or something I said. You know what I mean? So again, that's why I think that's why as a recourse I make sure I kept my stuff. I'm not gonna go off and burn it on camera and I'm like that because that's just nonsense. You don't need to do all that stuff. But again, maybe years later, when I feel that they understand us a little more, then I will pick it back up and wear it. But other than that, I wear everything. It doesn't matter. I don't really have a favorite because if I like it, I like it. I'm the kind of weird guy that walks into the store and I'm going through like the clothing, and I for some reason I'm always picked out the most expensive thing in the section or in that store. Never fails.
Never fails.
Never fails. Never fails. I don't know. And the guys get on me all the time because it's like if I like it, it's a win. And not because I just I don't like anything just to like it. Like it has to be la creme of la creme. It has to be the top. Not necessarily, as far as it's, price per se, but just the quality. Everything has to be, job one. And if it's not, then I'm not really interested into it. So again, I could always pick out the hottest of anything. But that's the buyer in me because I wanted to be a buyer when I first, got out of, I wanted to be a buyer when I was working at Macy's. So,
I want to thank you so much for taking out the time to talk.
You want to thank me so much. I want to thank you so much. I'm coming behind some heavy hitters. You got all of my idols. All my idols. I'm sitting here like a little old me. And again, I gotta share this, and I gotta share. I'm lucky. I'm sharing it with my partners. I'm like, David, Keith, Paul, they here in spirit.
For they here in spirit. But you, Andre Leon Talley, Oswald Bolte, Pat Cleveland, Carl Kanai, and now I have Jay Alexander Martin that I've interviewed. And FUBU is so important in our lives. Everyone I know, it made an impression. It was us growing up, whether you were in grammar school or high school. I happened to be like during the college years. So it's very important. And we just want to let you know that we appreciate you and what you've done for the culture.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. Again, we're just going to keep going. Again, like I said, right now we're a licensing company pretty much. We do some stuff in our own, like from watch, well, not our own, but we have from everything from watches to eyewear, footwear, suits. Like we're still in the business. We're still here, hey, give us a look again. Don't forget about us.
Oh, definitely. I'm going on FUBU.com right now and get me some throwbacks and whatever you have new. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I mean, I'm humbled. I'm humbled. Like I
Good.
said, you have interviewed the great, and I guess I'm I. You know, so you're the I guy, right? I can't match up with the greats.
No, no, you right there. Don't hang up. Just 1 minute. Everybody, please subscribe to the Emerge Design Talk podcast. We're on iTunes. So this is going to be on YouTube. It'll play on Facebook tonight. It'll be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thank you.
Well, thank you.